Hi everyone, welcome to my Facebook Live for this week. Today we'll be going through a specific topic that's quite interesting. I've taken quite an interest to. Today's topic is going to be on mechanical neck pain. So I have chosen to speak on this topic not only because it's an interest of mine, but since working here at On Your Game Physiotherapy, and also speaking to a lot of my friends and my family, it's evident that there is a very common complaint among the population. This is a very, very common complaint among the population. So there's no surprise in today's day and age that with increasing amounts of desk-based working and the number of people working from home since the pandemic, the increase in the usage of computers and laptops and technology such as mobile phones, that there's also an increasing amount of people who are living and complaining of mechanical or just neck pain. So as I go through this video, I'll discuss what the most common causes of neck pain are, and this will then refer to how these increases that I've just mentioned are contributing to and causing increased amounts of neck pain among the population. So let's dive into the main topics I'm here to discuss regarding mechanical neck pain. So what is mechanical neck pain? Well, mechanical neck pain is recognized as the most common form of neck pain. Okay, the pain can be felt locally at the neck and is also sometimes in the arms and in the upper shoulders as well. The condition can be worsened by resting the head in one place for a significant period of time. Those with mechanical neck pain may experience a restriction in their head mobility, as well as some muscle spasms or muscle tightness, specifically along the trapezius muscle. Is generally where a lot of people have built up kind of trigger points and tension in that muscle. Okay. So mechanical neck pain can also cause headaches. Generally, mechanical neck pain will resolve in a few days. However, with repeated kind of bad habits and immobilization, so not moving the head too much, this neck pain can begin to worsen, become more restricted in movements of the head, as well as begin to cause postural changes, which can lead to increased tension in the shoulder and upper back regions. So as I've just mentioned, holding the head in a position for a prolonged period of time can cause mechanical neck pain. And this can relate to individuals who spend their usual working week of 5 days, say, sitting at a desk, using a computer, and before they know it, it has been several hours staring at a screen while holding the head in one position and likely with a bad posture. I'm not brilliant at this either. I'm sure most of you would agree that you often find yourself, kind of hunched over at the computer screen, maybe typing like this, and before you know it, like I just mentioned, time's passed and you kind of sit up and you're like, oh, that wasn't very good of me. I've been in that position for too long. Okay. People who sit at a desk tend to have this condition more commonly than anybody else that I've noticed. Additionally, an increasing amount of people are spending increasing amounts of time using their mobile phones. So not only are computers at work and everything, the use of mobile phones, during the day, at night before falling asleep as well. Usually this time spent on the mobile phone causes people to stare down at their phone or hold their head in strange positions whilst mindlessly scrolling on their phone. And again, before they know it, several minutes or even hours pass with the head held in this unusual position. These are the main causes of mechanical neck pain. Okay. Not those specifically, what I'm talking about is more of the postural and immobilization of the head for a prolonged period of time. So what are the symptoms of mechanical neck pain? While symptoms for any injury tend to vary among different individuals, mechanical neck pain is no different. However, with mechanical neck pain, there are symptoms that generally associate with the complaint, and these are pain localized to the neck or the cervical region, including the surrounding musculature, as I mentioned earlier. Reduced range of movement of the head in different directions due to spinal or muscular stiffness. So, particular movements that often get restricted, tilting your head from side to side. People often feel a restriction on the opposite side. And here, coming back and forward, people can feel the restrictions in the forward and the front and the back of the neck. Turning from side to side, looking from side to side, people can feel that restriction in the muscles as well. Okay. This type of pain that people will experience is described as like a dull, aching pain that may become sharp with certain movements. Some people tend to describe the feeling of like a hypothetical weight pushing on their shoulders. They just feel very, very heavy in this region. Okay. As I'm saying this, a lot of you may be going, "Oh yeah, that could be me." That's definitely more prevalent than we think. Which brings me on to the next topic of how common mechanical neck pain is. So in this section, I will list some interesting facts about how common neck pain actually is among the general population. So mechanical neck pain has been widely researched and investigated around the world, and numerous amounts of studies have concluded that mechanical neck pain specifically is among the highest occurrence rates among all injuries or complaints, along with mechanical low back pain being another significant kind of highly frequent complaint. The various studies have concluded that among the global population, there is an occurrence of up to between 40 and 75% of people who are experiencing mechanical neck pain. So to put that into perspective, this means that it could be up to 3 out of 4 people are experiencing mechanical neck pain, which is clearly a lot more than what I expected. I'm sure much of you agree with me. 75% of the population generally could be experiencing mechanical neck pain. So why is it so prevalent? What are the causes of anxiety? Okay, so first of all, I'll dive into a little bit about posture and muscle imbalances. So the most common abnormal posture seen in the region of the neck is what we call a forward head posture, okay, which is kind of this position here. We call it otherwise known as a poking chin posture. So in this position here, where the head is slightly extended and there's a lot more pressure on, on the lower neck, the cervical spine. So during this kind of posture, there is significant shortening or tightness of the postural muscles, like the upper trapezius, the levator scapulae, as well as the pectoral muscles. Along with this restriction in the shortening and tightness of those muscles, there's also weakening of certain muscles. And this weakness tends to be generally along what we call the deep neck flexors, so the flexors at the front of the neck that help us maintain this kind of neutral posture, to say. So yeah, weakness in the deep neck flexors are often associated with this, as well as weakness in the rhomboids and the serratus anterior muscle. So more simply, this means that due to long-term positioning in this kind of poking chin posture, as I mentioned and explained, certain muscles around the neck become shortened and restricted, as well as some muscles becoming weaker and have reduced function. Okay, so an explanation which helps some of my patients understand the impact of their posture on the function of their muscles is as follows. So what I tend to do with them, it's going to be slightly exaggerated, but you can give it a try yourself. Okay, so normally, sitting with a nice neutral posture, looking to raise your arms up to the side and bring them up to above your head. Generally, that feels quite nice and easy. No complaints with that. Okay, so what we see with this poking head posture, I'm going to exaggerate it a little bit, is we see poking chin posture as well as the rounding of the shoulders. Okay, so in this position now, if you try and get your hand and you raise them above your head, I start to feel a bit of a restriction there, and I generally struggle to get my hands above my head in that position. Okay, and that's because the muscles cannot function properly. Okay, so as you can see, with repetition upon repetition, day after day of time spent in this postural position, it will eventually lead to restricted neck mobility as well as some muscle dysfunction, as the muscles cannot perform their usual movements, and as a result, they become weak and or stiff. So such kind of muscle imbalances and abnormal posture is found in the population who work on laptops and computers for prolonged hours, which is generally about 70% of the population are desk-based. It doesn't involve too much movement. You're staring at a screen for most of your week, really. Poor posture is considered to be the greatest cause of mechanical neck pain when there's no trauma or major injury to the neck. Okay, so moving on now from postural and muscle imbalances, we're going to look at a little bit about thoracic spine dysfunction. Okay, so we all know that the human body is an amazing thing, that it is all connected from head to toe in one another. The spine is no different. The cervical spine, otherwise known as the neck, the thoracic spine, otherwise known as kind of your upper back region, and your lumbar spine, which is your lower back, are interrelated biomechanically. This means that if there is some mechanical restriction of the thoracic spine, so your upper back, such as any stiffness or weakness, it is likely going to be impacting the cervical spine in some way. This is because the thoracic spine acts as a supporting base for the cervical spine. In other words, your upper back acts as a supporting base for your neck. Okay. So this is, yes, as I mentioned, it acts as a kind of supporting base for the neck, and it has an influence on the cervical spine movements via the cervicothoracic junction. Okay. And this is at the point where the neck meets essentially the upper back. And you can generally feel that point yourself. If you kind of come along your neck, you feel along your vertebrae, you have one vertebrae that's slightly more pronounced, almost like it's swollen, but that is your C7 vertebrae, and generally that is the cervicothoracic junction where, it goes from your neck into your upper back. So from your cervical spine into your thoracic spine. Okay. So yeah, because of this close kinetic link, this just chain that is linked together, any mechanical dysfunction that is seen at the thoracic spine will create an associated effect on the cervical spine as well. Okay, so moving on now to what I mentioned earlier about another possible cause of mechanical neck pain, and that is people's mental health state. Stress and anxiety are the main ones, really. So we also know that an individual's mental health state can also impact the neck and its surrounding musculature. High levels of stress and anxiety is associated with complaints of neck pain. This is because when you experience a stressful event or a bout of anxiety, your muscles generally contract, sometimes quite forcefully as well. So this is an automatic or reflex reaction. It's known as a stress response. Some of you might have heard it as a kind of fight or flight response. Although your body's stress response is designed to help you deal with the physical threats, your body responds in the same way when the threat isn't so physical. So your muscles may tighten up when you're sitting in traffic in the car, because you're generally getting frustrated, I know I do, dealing with pressure at work, or watching the news, all these significant events and everything, your muscles can generally tighten up. And according to research, your muscles and other organs around your body may only relax once again once the perceived threat has passed. So if this stress is an ongoing thing and it doesn't seem to clear, your body may stay in this heightened state of kind of readiness to face the threat. So as a result, your muscles may stay tense and tight for much longer than they need to be, and hence causing complaints of aches in the muscles surrounding the neck region. Okay, so those are the kind of general causes of mechanical neck pain. Like I said, those are the common ones that are generally associated with it. Other people may have different types of symptoms that may relate to mechanical neck pain, as different symptoms, they can vary depending on the individual themselves. Okay, so what are ways to prevent neck pain? So ways in which you could help yourself in reducing this neck pain. Firstly, it's important to get an accurate diagnosis of mechanical neck pain. This can be done by registered health professionals such as physio and sports therapists here at On Your Game Physiotherapy. This is vitally important, as the complaints you may have may not necessarily be mechanical neck pain, and this is where knowledge of these professionals can help make an accurate diagnosis of what could be causing your occurring and what could be causing your neck pain. Therefore, if you're someone experiencing this, visit a healthcare professional who will be able to assess your complaint and distinguish between the potential different diagnoses that are possible. There are quite a few. The neck and back is generally quite a complicated region, so there are a number of things that us as clinicians we need to kind of rule out and go through. Okay, so if they have performed, so when you visit your health professional, they will perform an assessment, and if they do believe that the assessment is that you're complaining of is mechanical neck pain, they will then be able to assess the different structures around your neck for identifying which ones may be weak, which ones are restricted, and which ones may be dysfunctioning. And therefore, as a result of this, they can create a tailored rehab program which will target the structures which are contributing to your pain. So in general, the prevention of neck pain may be achieved through postural awareness. This is being aware of your posture throughout the day, and noticing times in which you may have fallen into this bad postural habit. and correcting them before spending a prolonged period of time in that position, if that all makes sense. Additionally, regular stretching, regular moving of the head and neck will allow structures to keep mobile and will prevent these structures from becoming restricted. I'm not saying that you need to spend hours of your day for doing these stretches or visiting a gym to perform them. They can be completed in as short as 3 to 5 minutes, and even better, they can be performed in the comfort of your own home, in the comfort of your work chair or your desk, or even in your bed. There's really no restriction to where you can perform these exercises. So what is stopping you from preventing your own neck pain before it even occurs? Okay, it's all about getting into these good habits and not allowing anything to progress and start causing you pain and then acting upon it. So this brings me on to the topic of massage as a treatment of neck stiffness pain. So yes, whilst there is evidence that does suggest soft tissue massage therapy can help the reduction of muscular aches and stiffness, as well as making you feel great when you're walking out of the treatment room and perhaps into the evening as well, this is very much a short-term response. Okay, it's a very much a short-term benefit. Hours or even a couple of days after the massage treatment, you may still be feeling great. However, if the underlying causes of this mechanical neck pain, as I mentioned above, the weakness or the tightness in the structures, so if these are not addressed, these aches and pains are soon going to return and you will be back at square one before you even realize it. So this is why treating the underlying causes that I have mentioned before this is the best way to achieve long-term benefits and reductions in your neck pain. The therapist will be able to identify which structures have become restricted and which structures have become weakened. And following this, they will be able to advise a targeted stretching of the restricted structures, that's a bit of a tongue twister, and the targeted strengthening of the weakened structures, which will allow for a long-term postural correction, as well as improved function of the postural muscles supporting your neck. Okay, so well, I hope you enjoyed this, the insight into mechanical neck pain, and a bit benefited from this explanation into what mechanical neck pain is, and how astonishingly common it is among all of us. I was really amazed about that, to be honest. Additionally, I hope you gained some insight into ways in which we can help you treat this injury and get you back towards living a pain-free day-to-day life. As always, if you have any questions, please do pop them in the comments section of this video, and I will happily respond to them as soon as I can. Have a great evening and do some of your neck mobility and neck stretches, okay? Goodbye.